So if you have a hosted website in Kenya, then you know the pain that people go through, that developers go through when doing that. So you start with the hope, and probably excitement. You're usually excited because now your project is going live after probably weeks or months of working on it. But you don't know what you're going to face. Like whatever you face after that really teaches you a lot of stuff, and it really makes you go through a lot of stressful situations that you're even unahitajingi therapy after that because of what you go through. So this is the dream versus reality when it comes to web hosting in Kenya. So you buy hosting, it's probably TrueHost or another local provider. Then you go into thinking that this is it. My Django app is going to be live. So I'm going to reference Django because that's the one that I work with most of the times. Then, but Kenyan hosting usually look at Django and they're like, nah, this is an alien species. We are not used to this. We only know WordPress and PHP. So if it is WordPress, it is usually very easy for them to accept the hosting. But then when it comes to something like Django, they start sweating and blah, 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 and they just give you proper headache. So that takes us to database madness. Let's call it database madness, because in theory, these hosting providers, they say that they support MySQL, they support MariaDB, they support Postgre and other databases. But in reality, you try and create a database and then migrations will take forever. You talk of object-related materials in Django, and they take like half the time the server just stays like that, just taps out and tells you, it gives you an error 545. We couldn't whatever, we couldn't work on this, we couldn't migrate this. So they it's just basically telling you, boss, we aren't built for this. That's just one of the problems that people go through when hosting using this local, especially if you don't know what they are usually made for, because most of them are made for WordPress and stuff like that. They are not made for those big databases. They're not made for external databases. Like they're just telling you, bro, if you want to host a Python project, the only thing that we can support is a hello world, just that. The moment you start creating tables and whatever in database, then you have to look for another service provider that is not local, that is not Kenyan. So we have problems that probably I have experienced, and especially when I was coming to this, when I was starting this, and it's because I was introduced to TrueHost first, without even being told about any other services that can provide hosting. So I was introduced to TrueHost, and I went through some problems on TrueHost. So TrueHost, I really love your cheap prices. I really love how your domains are easily accessible. I really love the speed that you work with when someone is purchasing hosting or database. But why does your shared hosting feel like it's allergic to backend frameworks like Django or Angular and stuff, or Vue? Why is it allergic to those things? So you upload a Django project, you configure the WSGI as per the instructions, and then you set up the passenger file and or whatever they tell you to do. But mostly that's the process. So you upload, set up the WSGI file, there's something you change, some little code there, and then you set up the passenger file, and then they try to connect to the database, and then the whole thing crashes. The whole project crashes. Like the whole setup, it crashes. It was working in your code editor, but now it isn't when it comes to TrueHost. So you're wondering what's the problem. At that moment, you're not even hosting a Django project. You're literally hosting a disappointment, because yeah, it's going to it is going to humble you. I'm telling you. So we go on to Python on shared hosting, and let's be honest, Python apps can be shared. Python apps on shared hosting inakaa ni kama kuran FIFA 23 in a calculator, knowing very well that even a modern work laptop cannot run FIFA 23. Now imagine running that FIFA 23 on a calculator. That's what it feels like trying to host Python in a shared hosting. And shared hosting hizi zenye zinaprovaidiwa huku na kina to host another companies. So you try to run your virtual environment, it's denied. You try to install dependencies, it is denied. You try to install some system level modules, also denied. It's like they just don't, the way I mentioned earlier, they just want to tell you, hey bro, the only thing that we can handle that has Python is a hello world package, nothing else. The rest, we can't do it. Then you try to call customer care. So that takes us to the customer care loop, the customer support loop. We can call it that. So you contact support, they tell you clear cache, or wait for propagation. Your DNS has not yet been propagated properly. They tell you try again after 30 minutes. They try telling you upgrade to a virtual private server, that's a VPS, or they tell you again try WordPress instead. That's the the last option. So you have worked on a project for a whole month, and then you thought that, but this happens especially to new developers who are coming into the market. So you have worked on a project for a whole month, and then they tell you that, you know what, all what you have done is useless. Why not just create using WordPress? Client wako anataka WordPress, alikuwa anataka kitu imekodiwa from scratch. Then these guys are here telling you we can only support WordPress databases and stuff like that. So it's hectic. It's very, very hectic. So the next thing that I'm going to mention is the propagation saga. Like you've just bought a domain, you expect it to be propagated in the next few minutes, probably 5 to 10 minutes. It's going to be live in various servers across the world. But then you try visiting the domain, and it's just telling you that we couldn't find this site. This site could not be found. They tried to locate the DNS on the servers, and they couldn't find it. So there comes another problem: DNS propagation to worldwide servers. So you can you try propagating a DNS in Kenya. Let me tell you, unaweza nunua shamba, ujenge, ununue gari, upande mahindi, you harvest, and the DNS is not still yet propagated. Yes, actually, as we are speaking, I have such an issue. I have such an issue with one of the hosting providers. They are not propagating my DNS. I don't know why. I have tried even contacting support. Anyways, it's been hectic. It's been hectic trying to do that, trying to propagate. So someone with a better solution on propagating of DNS propagation can probably help me out in the comment section. So the next thing is what solution do we really have as developers in Kenya? What solution do we need to have? So after all, after the pain, the truth becomes clear. If you want serious backend hosting in Kenya, avoid local shared hosting. Avoid it kabisa. Get a VPS, that's a virtual private server, or use DigitalOcean, use Hostinga, use Linode, use Host Africa's VPS plans, on all that. Because Modern web applications, they need a breathing room. They need CPU, they need RAM, they need real databases, not just prayer. Huwezi ombea tu useme Mungu naomba hii website ifanye kazi, haitafanya. It won't work out. So Kenyan hosting has potential, but right now it's just like the traffic in Nairobi. It's usable, but you have to prepare your emotions, because it's going to take you on a very big ride. It is going to take you on a ride. If you have suffered these frustrations, welcome to the club, and drop your trauma stories in the comment section. Let's heal together.